making movies, a big part of Kansas City's music scene, and they are in our studios down the hallway right now in Studio A, live on the bridge.
All the effort that you put into it, you can't wait for May 26th over at the Record Bar to sort of lift the curtains for everybody.
Lift the curtains. For us, it almost feels like lift the curse. There was a period here where we didn't know how this record was going to get done or even enter the world. So the excitement is almost beyond just the joy of being done and getting to put it in the world. But there was a serious period there where we weren't sure what was going to happen. So we're super lucky, feel grateful to have it done.
So, pardon me for prying, but what constituted the curse?
Well, do you want to know what we think caused the curse, or what we think, or what caused us to think there was a curse? We basically made the record almost felt like we did it 3 times. Some of the songs went through 20 iterations of the recording before it got to the final version, and that's kind of like a weird experience to feel like so inside of something that you don't know if you're ever going to make it out of it. There's times where we brought home homework. We couldn't, because of a couple different circumstances, we didn't finish in the studios in Tucson and in Arizona and in LA when we were recording. So Steve Berlin, our producer, sent us home with like, all right, there's homework on these songs, there's this stuff to do. And my brother and I would end up at 4 a.m. having just recorded hours of violin feedback and trying to reverse it through a tape machine to see if we were onto something, and we'd go to bed confused if we had maybe lost the point of the whole deal or if we were getting closer to the finish line. But the process to finish it became kind of this really winding road. But once it was done, we then encountered some other issues and some changes in our team and all this good stuff. But the road got us to here, and now we feel really excited to be playing the music. I mean, that's what we were just talking about as we took a bathroom break. It's like, man, it feels good. We're playing the new music, finally.
So you felt like there was some kind of curse hanging over you, but actually what that sounded like was the Beatles making Sgt. Pepper. They're coming up on that 20th anniversary, and there are songs that they did 20 versions of, 30 versions of it, feeding stuff in backwards. Did that parallel ever cross your mind?
Yeah, we were really into the White Album and like the psychedelic era of the Beatles right before we started this. So some of it was intentional, and yeah, that did cross my mind. That, like, some of those anecdotes from other great recordings kind of helped keep us stay the path and realize that sometimes it's a long way to get to the finish line.
The curse didn't stop with the album. Right, I mean, you had a little bit of a drum accident.
Right. I mean, yeah,
I don't know that the drums were actually involved.
The drums weren't involved. So, speaking of this curse, we weren't sure how to finish the record. We finished the record. We couldn't find the right team to put it out. Finally, it all has come together, and we're on a path, and we've scheduled a date to perform for you, John. And I get a call from Juan Carlos saying, hey, my little brother, our drummer, broke his arm last night. And so it felt like, oh, God, okay, here we go again. But thankfully, Brendan Culp, who is the founding member and part of the family for Making Movies, stepped in and filled in for the shows that we had at that time. And Andres is back in action, and so we're going to split the duty between Brendan and Andres this morning.
And so if you happen to hear a scream of agony, you'll know what happened.
Yeah.
Making Movies in the studio, the new album, I Am Another You, the CD release show, the album release show, coming up May 26th over at the Record Bar. We'd love to hear some of the new music.
All right, this is a tune called Locura Colectiva.
Oye amor, ¿cómo fue tu día? Yo todavía estoy por la avenida. No sé si viste la última noticia que el mundo se va a acabar. Y esta vez no es mentira. Disculpa amor, la línea se cortó. No creerás lo que yo he visto. No es un tranque, es una pesadilla. Y todos unidos bailan la locura colectiva. Esa locura colectiva. Señor, por favor, ven aquí, ven. Déjame hacerte una pregunta. Oye viejo, cuéntame de tu vida. Dios te dio lo que tú merecías. Llegaste con orgullo al fin de tu día. O nada más te tiro como un dao a la locura colectiva. Esta locura colectiva. Y él me dijo, yo recé. Que te encanta la vista, ver al ser humano como una hormiga. No sé si oíste la última noticia, que en realidad tú eres una tú eres una tú eres una pura mentira, causa de esta locura colectiva. Todos dicen yo recé, amén, que nada cambie. Yo recé, amén, que nada cambie. Oye viejo, cuéntame de tu día. Dios te dio lo que tú merecías. Llegaste con orgullo al fin de tu día. Nada más te tiro como un dao. ¡Qué locura colectiva! ¡Qué locura colectiva!
Making movies live in the studio. That was fabulous.
Thank you.
You should have warned me about the false ending. It's like, oh. Yeah. Am I supposed to be back in the chair? Am I supposed to be back in the chair? You know, one of the things that just really, I really wanted to ask you about, I Am Another You, the title. A Mayan greeting?
Yeah, there's a phrase that we use in the record called In Lakesh Alakin. And it's something that the Mayans used to greet each other with. So, and in Lakesh part means I am another you, and Alakin means and you are another me. So if we'd run into each other, instead of saying, hey, what's up? How you doing? They'd say, in Lakesh, and you'd respond, Alakin. So instead of saying hello, you'd say, I'm another you, you're another me. And there's this kind of interweaving theme on the record. There's three characters, three young men who kind of share very different lives, but their experiences meld into kind of one singular experience, and that's the main theme of the record, this kind of interconnectivity and thinking back that ancient people were already thinking these things. I think the Mayans aren't the only ones. I think that ancient Chinese cultures and Hindu cultures also had this thought, we're all one, there's something connecting us all together, and that's the overarching theme of the music and the lyrics of the album.
I know you've already spoken to the fact that this album seems more timely than when you wrote it. It's like the world grew into the need for the record.
Yeah, there's a bit of that where we wrote the songs 3 years ago and started recording them 2 years ago. And we had this idea of the immigrant story. I remember hearing my cousin in Venezuela, who appears on the record. He leaves me voice messages on the record, and he immigrated from Venezuela to Panama because of the political turmoil and unrest in Venezuela. And in Panama, there's this idea, there's this frustration because they have all these immigrants taking their jobs. And I thought that was such a funny echo to what happens here. And it's even sillier in Latin America because ethnically these people look the same. They're from the same, speak the same language. There's only slight cultural differences, really. And so I realized that, wait a second, that's not an American condition. That's kind of a human issue. And we started thinking about that for the record. Fast forward to today, and we have Donald Trump as our president, and these concepts of building walls and some pretty extreme ideas from the national pulpit, and the record seems to take a more political shape than it did. For me, I was just kind of trying to tell my family's story and tell our life experiences. We all are families of immigrants.
I was going to touch on that, and I know we've talked about it before, but the album is in English and it's in Spanish, and that seems completely appropriate because that's your family too, and the fact that some of your ancestors could, your grandmother who just passed, connected to her roots through singing English language music when she was living in Panama.
That's exactly right. And I think that's part of why our music swings so heavily on the Latino influences. Is it's Diego, Juan Carlos, Andres, and I feeling like we want to reconnect to things we don't get to experience all the time. There's a part of our culture and heritage that we're in Kansas City. There's not as many outlets for it. And so my grandma had that same experience, but reversed in 1962, 63. She moved to rural Panama. And so there was, 10 years later, there was one half-an-hour English language radio program where she could hear the Beatles and all this stuff. But for the first 10 years there, she just had to remember the songs in her head and sing them. And that's how she kept sane, is what she said.
Wow. You mentioned the recording of the answering machine message. There are actually 20 tracks on this album. It really is kind of a concept album. It's a story.
That's right. It is. When we orchestrated it that way, and it's meant to kind of weave into each other, and that's exciting, and it was fun to do it. And I think that's part of what kept us up at night, trying to figure out how to make these interlocking pieces work.
You mentioned connectivity, and that also follows through to some of the guests that you had on the album. It's Hooray for the Riff Raff, Elena from Tennis, and then also Oz Motley on the record.
That's right.
That's pretty heady company.
Yeah, it is. We're really grateful for their enthusiasm for our music. We've met all of them through different touring experiences, Elena being the exception. I've been friends with her for years, but when we made specifically Brave Enough, the song we're going to play next, we felt like it needed that kind of interplay of a duet, and Alinda from Hooray for the Riff Raff, she agreed to do it. We both love kind of the 60s era Fania, New York early salsa, what was before salsa was called salsa in a lot of ways, and this song kind of has a little bit of that throwback to that era of music, and she did a great job. Then we needed a doo-wop vocal. My brother, who has a really nice falsetto, he invented this part, and then we thought, you know what, this sounds like our friend Elena. It would be better if she just did it. She's not here, so you're going to get to watch the joy of Diego and Andres doing their best to sing like girls, but they've been working hard. It's sounding pretty good.
Yeah. You just played with Los Lobos, and you're going out opening for Hooray for the Riff Raff national tour. That's got to be pretty exciting to go out on the road and bring it across the country.
It really is. I mean, the thing I'm probably looking forward to the most, other than just playing this new music out, and is some of the venues we're getting to play. We're playing at a really amazing art space in Santa Fe called Meow Wolf. It's like a total trippy, in the desert, interactive space. And this record was made in the desert, so that kind of attracts me. And we're also playing spaces like the Fillmore. So kind of these landmark places for music, and that excites me. It feels fun to present ourselves and our music in in those environments.
You know, if you want to pre-order it, it is still available for pre-order at Pledge Music. The name of the album is I Am Another You, and it releases May 26th at the Record Bar when they're going to bring the show to Kansas City, and we cannot wait for that, but we'd love another track and preview here today on The Bridge.
All right, this song is called Brave Enough.
Well, anything to turn you on, painting fables into song, poison cups, swerving lanes. Could we make to the grave? Well, I don't really think you're wrong. See, I know that you came along to find a certain sense of faith. Is despair is for the plain. Anytime I think I find new bird to kill, I see she's already at my neighbor's windowsill. Anytime I think I find new kind of thrill I seek, she's already been crushing up the pills. I said, hey, aren't you brave enough to make it on your own? Come on, come on, oh, come on, come on. Well, I don't really give a see, I don't believe beginner's luck. Why chase the muddy river down to the delta if you still can't stand the rain? Anytime I think I find a new kind of thrill I seek, she's already been crushing up the pills. Anytime I think I find a new place to drill I see they've already been sipping from the well. I said, hey, aren't you brave enough to make it on your own? Come on, come on, oh, come on, come on. Well, I said, hey, aren't you brave enough to make it on your own? Come on, come on, oh, come on, come on. Well, I gotta get out, gotta get out, gotta get out, gotta get it out, gotta get out, gotta get out, gotta get out, gotta get it out, gotta get out, gotta get out, gotta get.
Brave Enough from Making Movies live in the studios here at the Bridge. Thanks for that. That was great.
Thank you.
Love that. It's the new album, I Am Another You, which releases May 26th over at the Record Bar. You know, that particular song, you know, the way that they work music now, it's so funny. That's the, in quotes, the teaser track.
Right, right.
You know, the one that's supposed to get us all excited. And then the single comes pretty fast on its heels. And, if I have any regret at all, it's that sometimes the teaser track is so good that you kind of hate to see it moved out of the way. It's like each song should have a little window at a time, but we're going to get spinning out before too long.
That's right.
Yeah, so pretty exciting stuff.
It's hard. I mean, music's funny in that way. Like, it also sometimes songs get a new life later in their journey. I feel like Brave Enough probably will live a couple lives.
Yeah, we'll circle back around. That does happen. And so, Spinning Out is one that is online now on YouTube. You can check out the video for it. And it's set in such a dramatic space. Where was that filmed?
That was filmed here in Kansas City. There's an old building it's like a castle that the city built.
Castle. It's over off of Paseo.
That's right.
Yeah.
I guess it was like a jail for petty thieves and stuff like that.
It had multiple lives, and I thought that might be it. It was to put dogs down for a while. It was a prison for a while, a work farm, I believe. And then for a while, it was just a storage facility for the city to put their junk in.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, but it's a really dramatic, cool space.
Yeah. So we filmed in there. Our friend Scott Jolly and my girlfriend Aisa directed it, and we worked really hard to make it all come together. But it did. It was fun. So you can check it out on our YouTube page. But Brooklyn Vegan featured it yesterday, I think. Right? That was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all, great. It's funny. They also put the album out to people to get quotes to help promote the record. And the quotes that came back from different places about this new project are just unbelievable. Latin music better than anyone else out there today, MTV. I mean, that's pretty good. That's not a bad quote, They're telling you you're the best. NPR Music said that, I'm cutting these down, but the music both propels and floats without violating the laws of physics.
I think they're referring to a rhythm section.
Yeah.
Because they have this weird, like, four-armed, one-minded creature that Juan Carlos and Andres have become, and it was originated with Brendan handling the duties, and they've learned how to link minds and play those rhythms together.
It's so funny. It's like, we speak of it as Latin music. Not too terribly long ago, you all did a cover of Everybody Wants to Rule the World for us, and you came in and had a conversation with Sarah Bradshaw, and I felt like I was in a music theory class when I was listening to it, right? And it was just like amazing. It's one of those things where, if you were in your car, you weren't going to turn off the engine. You had to sit there and listen to it. But the phrases that the influences, and I'm going to mispronounce some of this, so pick it up for me, but cumbia rhythms,
yeah.
Son Cubano, and descended from Yoruba music.
Yeah, so those are all crazy words that explain a really kind of simple story. That's the story of American music. And when I say American music, I don't just refer to the United States. I mean North and South America. But most of the slaves that landed here came from one western part of Africa, and they carried a similar culture to each other. A couple little sects, but the strongest culture was called Yoruba. And they had a bunch of rhythms that each rhythm represented a certain deity for them. And this is where you, when you ask like why you believe the record was cursed, for a split second we thought that perhaps we dug too deep. We were out of our league in the rhythms that we were messing with, and we're upsetting some deities we didn't quite know existed, or something like that. But those deities, they kind of morphed in Latin America. That's where Santeria comes from, because the Africans wanted to keep their culture, so they relabeled things with some Catholic names to get away with keeping their culture. And in certain pockets, depending on the concentration of the African people, the rhythms retained most of their integrity because the culture stayed stronger. In other parts, it disseminated into other pieces. So like when Brendan, if you could play like a rumba clave and have JC play. So the clave is the pulse that keeps it going. So that that. And when you hear the congas, this sounds like Cuban music to us all of a sudden, right? That's Cuban music, but you hear that same rhythm land in the Americas, in the northern part where there's less concentration of Africans, and then it trickles into their guitar work. And so what we did with this album, with the band as a whole, is we try to go as far deep into those as we can, and then build from there, from the older rhythms. And that's where you hear a song like Spinning Out is not a Latin song to me, but the rhythms feel like Latin music because they're the rhythms that made Cuban music, but really they're the same rhythms that made Bo Diddley music too. So what is this? Is it just rock and roll, or what? Or is it just music? Perhaps it's just better to call it music.
I think that what it is the thing that makes you making movies. The thing that makes you sound different than anybody else. And that's a really important thing.
Well, thank you.
You know, I also wanted to just touch base with you on this. You've done a lot of great work with inner city youth over the last 5 years, and you're getting ready to take that to a new place.
That's right. For 5 years, we have hosted a camp through the Matty Rhodes Center that was originally called the Musica Camp, and it still exists. And my brother runs it and does a wonderful job. He has secured a grant so that there's also an after-school program on Thursday nights. So if you're in the historic Northeast and you're listening, or if you know a family that might be interested in music lessons, it's super affordable. I mean, I think it's virtually free for the students. It's very, very affordable to be a part of the program. But we are working hard to create a new program under our own nonprofit umbrella to focus on young songwriters. And so that is in the works, and we've been putting pieces together, and they're coming together, but we're excited to embark on that journey as well.
Got to do something in between tour swings.
That's right.
Enrique, thanks for coming in, man. I really appreciate it. The new album is I Am Another You. And if you want to find out more, just go to makingmovies.com, but make sure and take out all of the vowels. There are no vowels.
You can also go to makingmoviesband.com, send you to the same place, and Google does a great job of finding us too.
There you go. We'd love to hear one more song if we could.
All right, this is Spinning Out.
For you and do what I must do to see the
That was great. That was fun. That was loud. It cranked it up. Making Movies, the new album, I Am Another You. It releases May 26th over at the Record Bar. And of course, if you can't wait to get your money over to Making Movies, pledge music, and there are lots of little extras that you can get if you head
And you can
over there.
download Spinning Out. If you like that song, you get a free download of it if you pledge today or this week.
All right, and Brooklyn Vegan is where you want to go if you want to check out the latest video, correct?
Yeah, or you can just go to our Facebook and social media and YouTube. It's there as well.
So, again, just to go back to the beginning of the interview, you made us wait 3-4 years for this. I hope it's not so long till the next one. I know this one isn't even out yet, but I'm already begging.
All right,
So-
we'll get to work. We have ideas. We're already
All
working
right.
on some ideas.
Making Movies, again, I Am Another You. Thanks for coming in, guys.
Thank you so much, John.
Making Movies on the Bridge.